How's it going, guys? On the bench we have a realistic STA 52. This is not the B, so this would have been the first version of this model. Here is a catalog page of it. This would have been 13 watts per channel. It says here somewhere 12 watts per channel. 12 watts per channel was $199. This machine here would have came out before the receiver wars. You know, when you got the monster receivers and stuff, this would have came out just before those. There was probably bigger units than this at the time, but just guessing. But it does need some cleaning up. It does work. The caps are bad, leaking out all over the place. I actually used some brake clean, sprayed it all out to wash most of it away. One thing that's kind of interesting is that I have found some similar models to this, basically just like cars or anything. Everybody tries to make something that's similar to somebody else's. You know, cars all look the same for certain eras and things like that. But I found a Kenwood and a Pioneer. It was very similar to this. Meters was, you know, the signal meter was over here in the same location. One thing about those compared to this one is this one actually has a power switch. On those other models I've seen, it was, you know, similar to this and probably similarly priced. The power switch was on the selector switch. So, you know, you flipped it on and then you went to whatever you wanted to go to, which I think is kind of tacky, having a, you know, a power switch and that all integrated in one. I kind of like having the power switch. Anyway, let's open this guy up, see what's inside. Alright, it powered up. Still, it's been about a year ago since I did the running it for a bit, taking the brake clean to it. You can see here we're on a radio station and the signal strength is around 4. The dial is off. Let me take this off of here because I wanted to show that it doesn't illuminate. All these bulbs here are out. But I'm going to take this off the top. So it illuminates because the light's behind the receiver. The dial is off some. We are at 100 point something. And this station here is 99.9. And then we go on down to, yeah, we're past 102. And this station here is 101 something. There's no antenna on it. Both these stations are about a couple miles away. They come in about the same strength on any machine that I put it on. If there was an antenna on here, it would be probably full strength. I'm just going to hook this to my computer when I'm done with it. It's kind of outside of the box of my collecting. I collect realistic stuff, but not this era. I'm working on collecting the monster receivers and some of the mid-80s receivers, but this really isn't my thing. It's kind of low powered, works perfect for the computer. It's amazing what you get for you know, 12 watts. I'll show you at the end of the video. We'll hook it up and I'll have some power meters on top here. Right around the same vintage as this machine, the power meters are. But I got some bulbs. It's got the tube lamps. The reason for that being is this display lights up orange, and if I was to put LEDs in there, no matter what color of LED you got, it's not going to display it as it should be. You know, the white often tends to have a blue accent to it. So we're going to stick with the original bulbs, and we're going to recap the amp board, the main filter caps, and the power supply board. I'm going to redo it. The tuner I'm going to leave alone, which is tuner probably slash tone selection. I'm going to leave that alone. This stuff here is all like low voltage. They do go bad, but you know, I just, when these go bad, usually it starts having a bad effect on the machine, or sometimes it'll just quit working. But usually these components are stout enough that it doesn't take anything out. Just the cap shorts out, quits working, and you just change the cap later. Over here, these are the caps that was leaking out all over the place that I cleaned off with some brake clean. And I've used the brake clean a couple times just for some of you guys that's kind of maybe interested in it, but it doesn't take off any of the writing that I've seen. Maybe if you kept doing it, you know, over and over, but just blasting and emptying a can out, cleaning out something like this. I just stay away from the pots, stay away from the front of the machine, because it could possibly damage the front display. You know, just aiming at the boards themselves if you wanted to attempt to try something like that. Alright, first we're going to do is do these caps, and we'll see what we get. Oh, you guys have to excuse my frogginess. I've just been recently sick, so I just want to show you guys real quick the difference in size in caps. These are both 25 volt 2200 microfarad capacitors, these two and these two. So taking away some mass from this machine, which is just doing a recap. Some of you guys probably get, you know, probably leave a comment about leaving this glue in here. I'm well aware of the risks of leaving it in there and what it does as far as corrosion and / conductivity. But for the most part, by the time I get all these caps changed, it's pretty much just gluing down these caps. For the most part, it's not really touching any other components. And then the caps are sitting down in the middle of it, which had no glue at all. So that just on top of it is just my love for this machine doesn't really reach that far. So I'm not going to go there with as far as sitting here with an X-Acto knife scraping all that off. But just for anything, it's just this is more of a something to do. It's never ever I don't think going to be worth anything. The case that goes to it has a lot of scratches and veneers peeling off of it, so it's just the fun of doing this project, and I will play with it for a little bit. But some of these caps that I'm putting in here are not very good brand. You know, so they probably on a regular basis of use, they might last 5 or 10 years. You know, probably even stored away. That's probably all how long they would last. 10 years from now, you pull it out after never being used, and they'd be junk. But probably better off with these in there than I am with these. These are here, probably heading to a dead short, given that they all leaked out. Alright, we got the amplifier section all recapped. There is some corrosion starting to walk up some of these transistors, so I look for those to fail at some point in time. And then here it is all working. Still don't have the lighting in there yet, it's just the light shining in from the back. The pots are dirty, so I'll have to take some deoxit to them here in a little bit. It had to be. And then we got I put a roll of solder on the antenna connection so it has some sort of an antenna. We are at 6.5 on the signal strength. It's kind of neat that the dial pointer actually changes for AM and FM. It's kind of neat. And yeah, so we'll just keep going with this. I don't want to get copyright crap. Let me go off.
I don't want them, so shouldn't you deduct the price of the onions?
Here's the country station. Yeah, so next we'll get the power supply, and then I'm not going to mess with any of the other things. The phono input amplifier board I'm not going to mess with either, because I don't mess around with records, at least as of yet. But yeah, we'll get over here and see how much smaller these get. Alright, you can see here how much smaller those guys got. I gotta say, this power board is in really good shape compared to some of the other videos I've seen of these. There's one guy that it came from an office or something, so they probably ran the thing, you know, 10 hours a day or more. But, you know, so his whole board was just really bad, distorted in color and stuff. He had to replace a lot of these diodes. This board is in really good shape. I'm going to separate some of these things a little bit. But, yeah. Alright, let's power it up. See what we got here. Still working good. I'd like to mention too, like, even just doing sections. You want to do tests, you know, when you do this stuff, you know, replace a certain section, fire it up, see if it works. You know, and do that to each section, so that way if something got messed up, you know it was in, you know, that one area. You know, if you do the recap the entire thing and then go back and fire it up, you don't know where your problem is, because, you know, unless it makes itself obvious, like explodes or something, but yeah, so next up is the bulbs, and we got to take the faceplate off to do that, and kind of work out probably good for it anyway, because it could use a cleaning. Alright, I still haven't got to get this off of here. I've actually been sitting here playing with it, and this thing has gotten so much more crisp sounding since replacing these caps over here. It's really gotten crisp. It sounds like new. Compared to, it was really didn't have a whole lot of mid-range or upper end before changing these capacitors out. Alright, I got the faceplate off. I still have a few little things to get off to get the display board off, but this thing, it has a heck of a tuner in it, man, just with a roll of solder hooked up to it. It picks up radio stations that my car don't even pick up. Yeah, hope this video don't get tagged for copyright. I think you got a few seconds there with stuff, but I don't think I'm going to try to get these knobs off of here, or these buttons. I think I'm going to just try to clean them on the machine. They don't really want to come off, and they're connected to plastic. But, alright, we'll get this display board off. Alright, got the dial tuner off, and it was not glued on there. It just had a bracket around all four sides to hold it on. No vellum. You can see the color is built into the printing on the board. You can hold it up to a light. So, yeah. But, well, I got sound coming out of there. Hopefully it doesn't pick it up. Well, you see there's the lamps. All of them that are burned out. Also to note is it's all metal. There is no plastic back in there to rot up. It's all metal. So one of the benefits of going to LED is that when you got plastic housing right here, you know, it stops the rot, you know, essentially, because you don't have all that heat from those incandescent bulbs. So given the fact that we're putting incandescents back in it, it's not going to harm it any by putting them in. Alright, got all the lamps in there. I even changed this one and it brightened it up quite a bit. This one wasn't blown out yet, but it's definitely a lot brighter with it in there. Alright, the song just changed. It was playing We Got the Beat. Seems like every time I turn the dial on this thing, it's playing something from its era almost. Yeah. Alright, let's get the dial plate back on there. Alright, here's a shot of this thing with pretty much all the lights out. It still doesn't show up on camera as orange as it is on here. It's really, really orange. Looks really sweet. But the camera just really isn't displaying it as that. It's lighter, a lot lighter. You can definitely tell it's got some Class A going on here. This thing is, heatsink gets pretty warm for, you know, basically not doing a whole lot of anything. So it probably draws a lot of current, not doing anything either. I'd like to mention something about this power supply for those of you that's maybe watching this and working on one of these. The only thing on here that's hot on this one is this resistor right here. So if anything else is hot on there, I would say you have problems. But you can definitely feel like heat around here, and it seems like it's that guy right there. But yeah, just for a record, this thing is picking up stations great. I mean, better than a lot of things I've seen. Just to mention, I did spray the crap out of that thing with brake clean. So yeah, you use brake clean to clean a tuning capacitor, because this thing is working. I mean, it's picking up stuff I never even knew there was a radio station there. It is off a bit though. I suppose maybe there's a possibility I could move it on here. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. So got it all cleaned up and back together. This thing cleaned up nice. These knobs are like brand new, and they are aluminum. It's aluminum with a plastic core, but it's about, I don't know, it might be an 1/8 inch thick aluminum. But it turned out pretty nice. Here, I'll turn these lights out. It looks way more orange and better in real life. But yeah, we'll hook it up to the big speakers in the living room, and with the power meters, and see how it. Alright, got it all hooked up to the living room speakers, 15-inch two ways, and I believe they're 4 ohm. They're 4 ohm speakers. And we also have the power meters hooked up, set on 2-watt scale, and we're going to be playing Bend Sound, which is like stuff I can play and not get in trouble for. Switch it to 15 watt or 200 watt scale, and you can see we can actually hit the 15 watt marker. This meter here is a little lazy. It's not the stereo, because I've had this hooked to like several different receivers, and this meter on this side seems a little lazy. Even if you hit mono, I tell you what, that is loud. If I played that at the 15 watts maximum, that's, you know, actually this thing's supposed to be 12, right? I would eventually have somebody show up at my door. But yeah, so I mean, in today's scales and what they put on stuff is wattage wise, like you go to the store and mostly car stereo stuff, it seems to me like if it says 400 watts on it, take a 0 away. It's probably 40. It says 1,000 watts on it, take a 0 away. It's probably 100. You know, so it's the way it seems to be how stuff's rated nowadays. Maybe some of the home audio stuff's still rated right, but at the same time I see like these wee little speakers and they say that they're 100 watt, you know, or like a receiver has like a half dozen speakers hooked to it, and it's supposed to be, you know, 100 times 10 or something, and then these little speakers are this big. I find that pretty hard to believe. But well, anyways, I think it's been a pretty cool video. Got to see the little power meters. I'll catch you guys later.